and welcome to Beyond the Ballpark, Hurrdat One's Guide to Omaha this summer with an episode that's really for the visitors or I guess anyone looking to update your arsenal on Omaha fun facts. I'm Kristyna, joined this time by Pat, Hurrdat contributor, runner, professional talker. What title do you even use?
BSer?
Yapper? Yeah. I mean, truly, if there's somebody who has perfected that talent within Hurrdat, I do think it is you.
I was born with it, and I think I found a kindred spirit with you.
You need a crown and a sash. We need crowns and sashes.
Another crown and a sash.
Precisely. And so, yeah, when we were talking about the chance to just get into what makes Omaha special during the series, kind of what people can expect, or just a refresher for folks who are here year-round but make their trip downtown during the Men's College World Series. It seemed like there's nobody better to chat about this than with you.
Oh,
so we're going to talk about local gems, eats, events, and all the insider tips ahead of this year's Men's College World Series. But first, the question that we kind of ask, it seems, at the top of every episode in relation to the series is, what do you think makes Omaha so special during the MCWS?
I just think the way we support it as a community.
Totally.
And for other events, I feel the same way, is that we take pride in it.
Yeah.
We're proud of our city. So we love showing off our city to new people. And we love hearing them say, this is not what I expected. This is better than I expected. And when they start coming back, even when their team's not in it, I think that shows how much we love this event and the people coming here. As much as we do, it just really shows that off.
I agree. And there is a really obvious way to spot out-of-towners too, right? Not just when they're driving the wrong way down the one way, bless them.
Which even people from here still do that.
That's a very good point.
Yeah.
It happens more often than even during when there's a big event in town. But of course, if you see people, when you see purple spilling out of Barrett's, that's the LSU fans. You smell just all the different food that's in the air when you're downtown for people tailgating. And I think you're exactly right that there are people who, of course, live in Omaha year round and support the event by being volunteers or season ticket holders. But also we kind of grow in population during that couple of weeks of people who are almost honorary Omaha members, whether their teams are playing or not, it seems.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always find it interesting because more people are here at the very beginning, obviously, because there are more teams.
Right.
And as the teams kind of dwindle, the people tend to leave, but the crowds don't diminish.
No.
I mean, you're down to, there are 8 teams, right, total? Yeah. So you lose 6 teams by the finals, and you lose 6 fan bases, but the stadium is still full.
Yeah.
So and it is easy to spot them, like you said, a lot of out-of-town jerseys, a lot of packs of people going from bar to bar.
Yeah.
Accents. Yes.
Lots of Southern accents that are suddenly in the state that aren't usually here that you hear. And so it is very interesting to see just the dichotomy of both the people that go and support the games. Yeah, you're right. A lot of the teams and their fans will leave town by the end of it, but they're still selling out that stadium for 2, potentially 3 games if they require and if necessary game in the series. And there's just plenty to do around the stadium too. As a reminder for folks, it's in North Downtown Omaha, where there is, of course, the ballpark, the mattress factory. I think it's just the mat now is right there with all sorts of events and activations, shopping, vendors, etc. Music in the evening. Same with the Slowdown is right there. If you're looking for something to do in the evening, they all have something to do. It seems for all ages, families to young adults and so on. But also FanFest is right outside the stadium as well. So really, you just kind of got to get into North Downtown, plop yourself down, and you'll find plenty of stuff to do.
Right. And you really don't. It'd be cool if you visited other parts of the city, but you really don't.
We'd love you to, yeah.
A block or 2 away from the stadium, or you don't really have to, because everything is there. Everything you would need, except the zoo. If you want to go to the zoo, you got to go a little bit farther.
Yeah, that's a little bit further out.
But yeah, you're right. Everything, just get yourself by the stadium, and you're good for however long your team's here.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And you will get into some of the neighborhoods that we like here a little bit later in the episode, but immediately, food, as well as bars, nightlife. I think even if you go as far as over to the Hilton, which is just on the other side of the CHI Health Center, at least in 2024, I recall that they did a Blur Events tent over there too. So yeah, once you're there and get yourself situated, you can find a bar, a restaurant, anything that piques your interest. Everything from more high-end cocktails options to dive bars. But really just getting in vicinity is the key, especially since when you see what's going on with FanFest, there's, activations that kiddos can use, games to play.
You do so much stuff down there. As a local, going down there every single year I'm like, I can't believe that they can get this much stuff packed in this area
Truly,
for families to do, and especially FanFest.
Yeah, they do take advantage of every inch of that space. And then I think it was even last year that they expanded into one of the parking lots to try to expand it even further, just to have more offerings. I think the Ferris wheel was an addition maybe last year.
Nice.
And so that's something that fans can continue to use. And you're exactly right. Spend an entire day down there, which is what makes the entirety of that event so special, just because of course, there are feelings about the move to North Downtown Omaha, which happened in 2011 from South Omaha for the stadium. But there just wasn't the opportunity for growth that you could have with this, at the time, new stadium in a new space that opened up for opportunities such as
I was one of the people that fought that because I grew up. I worked at Rosenblatt. I was a bat boy. I worked for the series down there on the grounds crew, and I loved Rosenblatt Stadium. Yeah. And I loved Dingerville, and I loved that Zestos was there, and I loved that area. But once the first College World Series at the new stadium, I was like, that's it. It was the right decision.
Right.
It was the right call.
Especially because you can accommodate more people. And to your point, there are stories of lore about just the quirks of Rosenblatt, which I didn't know I was with royalty, a former bat boy at Rosenblatt. Well, should have led with that.
I had hot dogs thrown at me when I'd miss balls off the net. If you remember Rosenblatt, you get a foul ball. If you were on the grounds crew or one of the bat boys, you would sit and you'd be in charge of putting Mississippi mud on the baseballs and getting them to the umpire. And you'd also be responsible for catching a ball. If it went up on the net, you have to run out and catch it. Yeah. Well, if you didn't catch it, you got booed terribly. And I missed one. It was a sold-out game. It wasn't a series. It was for the Royals. And I missed it. I missed it. There was one spot on the net that if it hit right there, it would kind of jet off. Yeah, of course it hit that. I tried to dive to catch it, didn't get it. As I'm walking back to my little cubby, some dude threw a full-on hot dog at me. Hit me right in the chest.
So not only did you face dive into the dirt, but you then did miss the ball.
Yes.
But you didn't miss the hot dog, which caught you square.
Right in the chest.
Excellent.
Yeah. It was fantastic.
And that is there are stories, I guess not quite like that, but of the just experience at Rosenblatt too, where I would talk to members of the media that said, down in the photo wells it was hot and got to be like 130 degrees. And then in the photo editing rooms, there was a chair that if you're last to grab your spot, your head gets stripped on for the entire this series. And so it's, there are nostalgic stories that go along with Rosenblatt, but you're exactly right. It just, in order for there to be the kind of growth and to secure the Men's College World Series into the future, there had to be that investment, I think, too.
And I think you and Bridget were talking about it in your episode about when there was severe weather during the series. At Roosevelt, there was no place to go. You would have to sit in the dugout and just hope you didn't get sucked out by a tornado if there was a tornado or hail or whatever. And the fans had the concourse was small. It's not like it is now. Yeah. It was small, and we just had to kind of risk it.
Just roll the dice.
Yeah, just roll the dice.
You're like, is it worth risking your life to see this game today? I guess you'll find out, especially during severe weather season in Omaha, which June is. Bridget goes through a whole host of reasons. So catch that episode if you haven't. That makes the weather so volatile when we get into that time of year. And what a perfect time to play an outdoor sport.
Right.
When you have, 20,000 people plus.
Gorilla hail.
Yeah, sure. That's fine. And then, of course, in Dingerville, can you imagine just a severe weather rip through there?
To be honest with you, I don't think people would have known that it ripped through Dingerville if it ripped back to the old school Dingerville. Yeah.
No, you're exactly. Or they either don't know because it maybe looks the same or because they're having too much fun to notice. There is that too.
Is that a tornado?
Coming through. Listen, when you have those SEC fans, they get wild weather down there too, so they probably think our storms are nothing.
Right. Seriously. Good point.
They just hold down the gumbo and pray. But speaking of that, for out-of-towners too, we thought it was worth running through just some of the major construction projects, which I know it's Omaha and we eye roll, we talk about it to death. But the hotels get slammed all around the city. So it very well could be that people are staying out west and having to commute down for the games. And there is some significant traffic changes to be aware of. And so just as you keep it in mind, as you're venturing from west to east, if this is part of your commute, the 72nd Street Bridge reconstruction is still underway. That's going to be, I think, through the end of the year. That causes significant delays in that area, especially as you're trying to converse I-80, but also it means you can't take 72nd Street going south from I-80. So keep that in mind. The 42nd Street corridor improvement is still underway. That's from Farnham to Leavenworth. That's water main repairs, streetscape enhancements. Good things, but still cause a little bit of a headache as you're trying to get around town. Omaha streetcar construction is well underway. That's happening all the way from Midtown to downtown. There's installation of a new streetcar line that's affecting between like 36th and 37th Streets. And also with the removal of that bridge, you have to jog around a little bit on 480. So that looks a little weird, especially if you weren't here last year. It looks different. And then Harney Street Bridge is what I was just mentioning. That's the one that had to go through demolition and is being reconstructed. And that's going on for the foreseeable.
Well, the future you that's visiting Omaha will be thankful that
going to be blown away.
Going on from the airport to all the other, what you just mentioned.
Yeah.
It's going to make next year and the following years much more enjoyable.
Yeah, no, you're exactly right. And among those big projects too include, the airport renovations, which is also a little complicated to navigate if you're down there. Just takes some extra time and patience. But also there's a new skyscraper going up in downtown Omaha that you may be really surprised to see if you haven't been here in a couple of years, because that seems to just grow and grow every single day. And that's just some of the big stuff that people will immediately notice as they get into town or try to get around town too.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
And listen, in Omaha, we of course have big feelings on these matters. Like you said, it's a pain, but it is part of progress, showing that we're investing in making the city better, making it easier for travelers and visitors to commute by improving our public transit and investing in these projects that are really beneficial to them.
And I'm sure we all have opinions that we could have done it better. We could have planned it all better, but like they're really super smart people that figured all this stuff out, and they obviously know the right way to get this done. It's so frustrating though.
Yeah. I think we should add planner to your title, Pat.
Okay. Planning time. Usually my plans aren't the best. I just jump on other plans of smarter people.
Right. You're like, yeah, me too. Ditto. Yeah. We talk about the way we keep notes, I think is very much the same for both of us, where it's like I have like a stream of consciousness. And then if somebody read it, they would be like, they'd assume I've lost my mind.
I don't let anybody read my notes. They probably can't read my notes. I have the worst handwriting on the planet, and I'll write in shorthand because in school I wasn't a good note taker. I'm not a good note taker. It didn't get better over the years. No. Certainly ChatGPT didn't help me take better notes. It helped me process my garbage, but not my better notes.
Yeah, I know. I do that too with ChatGPT and say, make this sound like something a normal person would like to read or understand, and then away it goes.
Make this sound not so mean.
So true. Also, that really is where I lean on ChatGPT. But no, you're right, and it is as we look towards the future of the Men's College World Series. This is a fun time also just to dive into a little bit of the past. Of course, it's been in Omaha since 1950, and it moved from Rosenblatt, the site of Pat's famous hot dog assault, to Charles Schwab Field in 2011. And of course, it looked a lot different in North Downtown at that time, too.
Yeah, it did. I can't believe it's been that long.
I know. Where does time go? And you haven't been assaulted with a hot dog in the new place.
Well, not yet.
Well, give it time. So on that, as a couple of locals, maybe some best ways to get down to the stadium. I usually, when friends ask if they're going downtown and they're looking for advice, I generally say, if you can, route yourself via one of the main roads that head downtown, if it's a Dodge or if it's, even I think Harney Street is one that goes, say I'm going to having people drive the wrong way down the one way too, whichever one goes east. If you can find your way there and then to 13th or 10th Streets, I think that seems to be a more efficient way to get down to the stadium, just because everybody's taken 480 or 75.
Right. Don't take the interstate.
Cumming Street.
Right.
Everybody's taking those streets. So those bog down quickly. And especially since some of those lanes are restricted, it seems like this year will be the year to really get to know Omaha.
And it'll be nice too with the train car? Streetcar.
Yeah. I mean, you could take a train, I suppose. Yeah. Out of town. Amtrak is down.
It will help because it'll expand where you can park. You could park, 50 blocks away and hop on the streetcar.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that'll be nice. I'm not a fan of those go to a parking lot, wait for a school bus, pick you up, then I'll take you to the stadium and back. I like to be able to leave when I want. So your idea of those side roads are the best.
Is the best. And I'll tell you, as somebody who worked in North Downtown for several years, those parking lots, parking lot A, which is on the east side of the CHI Health Center, and the garage are always substantially underused. I mean, there is this impression that
I would assume that they are packed.
No, I mean they are. I think people like you assume that they need to park over in downtown or the old market and walk over, which is also a great option. If you find yourself parking in the old market, you've set yourself up perfectly for an entire day of fun and events because they are perfectly traversable between the two. But those parking lots are usually almost ghost towns where
So I would think that
you can be right in proximity.
Do you have to be out at a certain, like if there's an event that night at CHI Center, do you have to be out at a certain time to accommodate those parking people?
Yeah. So the only restriction. So yes, there's no overnight parking permitted.
Or not even overnight, but like if there's a late game, but then there's also a concert that starts at 8:00.
Yeah. I think it's something like, I need to double check. I think it's something like 90 minutes that you have after the conclusion of the last game to be parked in those lots. But, parking lots B and D are pass lots. So those are reserved for people who in advance have their permission and their parking passes to be able to go there. And you know who you are if we're talking to you. But those other ones truly are, tailgating is permitted in Lot A. Tailgating is permitted at all the surface lots. Lot C is offline because that's FanFest. And if you are like Pat, like me, would like to be able to park in proximity, it really is just a short walk from either one of those two, and it's very convenient to be able to do so. $15 and you get to park all day.
Well, I know where I'm parking now. Seriously, I had no clue that was even an option.
I'll show you tricks how to get into Lot A too. I can't give up all my secrets because then I'm fighting the crowds. And then another tip I had was to arrive early for FanFest, just because you said it earlier. I mean, that opens up before the games, and there's plenty to do before anybody even throws out the first pitch of the day.
Yeah.
Pat, do you have any must-try ballpark food that you'd recommend to people? Probably not hot dogs. This is going to be the theme of the show now.
Angry eat hot dogs. You know what? To be honest with you, I haven't had much ballpark food.
Oh,
I'm like a cheapskate dude,
I get that.
and I really haven't. When I would go with my kids, they would get their food, and I'd eat whatever they didn't eat.
Yeah.
So I've heard the food is amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm not the one who tends to, I'm a hot dog guy or I'm a piece pizza guy. I'm not somebody that goes and gets off the fancy menu.
You're a chicken nugget guy.
I'm a chicken nugget guy. Totally.
It's a very specific type of guy, a chicken nugget guy.
I'm a chicken nugget dude all day. I just don't even think about getting the fancy stuff, but I've heard it's great. I mean, I didn't realize they had a chef that creates a new menu every year for the College World Series.
Every year. And this is kind of a passion project for them too, is they get to look at kind of what's trending and stadium food. I remember one year they had a colossal tot, which was, I don't know, like
a potato?
The size of it was a...
sir, this is a
potato, and they put
rebranded
like
potato.
some chives on it. And they said, here's a baked potato for your... early bird ballpark special.
You're not getting one over on me. This is potato.
This is just potato. No, it's like this, like a Chipotle burrito. Is that a scale of measurement?
That's huge.
Yeah, the size was the size of this tater tot that they, smother with like cheese toppings, etc. And you have to almost like knife and fork this to be able to enjoy it.
That sounds awesome.
And it's like heavy, imagine being assaulted with a colossal tot.
Imagine eating that being 95 degrees and you're eating in the sun with this colossal tot.
Yeah.
Oh my, you'd have to go right to sleep.
No, I think there's occasional naps happening inside.
Yeah. Geez.
Series 2, not for lack of action or fun, but because maybe a little too much fun.
Thank God the colossal tot wasn't around when I got hit with the hot dog. I guarantee.
I was going to say, can you imagine having one of those babies?
That would have been, the guy was mad enough he would have thrown it.
Come flying at you. Mm-hmm. And when you're young, it's probably about the size of a kid, the colossal tot. But they also do like tot shows. Obviously, tot shows are having a moment. So where there's, you got a layer of tots with a whole bunch of great stuff on it. And you can get those customized too. So there is your peanuts, popcorn, hot dogs for your traditional ballpark goers, but also something a little special or interesting that they'll come up with something new every year. And they usually make that announcement. It's closer to like just days before the series.
So do they kind of pattern it, like what specific teams coming in from different regions of the country try to satisfy those fan bases, or no?
It's more about, I think, just leaning into the event itself. And this year, for example, because it's the 75th anniversary of it being in Omaha, there'll be something in that theme, is my suspicion, too, to try to celebrate the entirety of the event and appeal to all teams and visitors, but also try to personalize it or make it unique to what exactly is happening that year too. So we'll see what kind of mad genius creations they come up with this time. I'm also curious if you have any favorite, Men's College World Series stories that don't involve assault. Nope, all of them involve assault.
All of them, unfortunately, involve assault of usually me. Actually, I have a couple of really cool memories.
Yeah.
And I was on the grounds. I was the bat boy, and then when the Royals would go out of town, and that's when the series obviously was at Rosenblatt. Mm-hmm. So I would work the series.
Yeah.
And it was the year that Creighton made it.
Oh, yeah.
And I to this day, I don't remember a stadium maybe Memorial Stadium.
Yep.
That has been louder that first game.
I believe
and that, even though that game that they lost, it was so awesome to just see those guys, because when I say we, the grounds crew guys and I were in Creighton's dugout.
Oh yeah.
And when they all came out of the clubhouse and kind of just stood there just to kind of take, because the crowd got like, they were packed for batting practice, and they were the second team. So that means the doors opened after the home team, whatever, had BP. And when they came out together. Like, it was such a cool thing. And you heard them, like, some of them had tears in their eyes, and they were just super excited to be there. Yeah. And, you know, unfortunately it ended the way that it did, but it's still a cool experience. Yeah. That's one of them. And then another one was, there was a pitcher that played he was an LSU pitcher. Yeah. Went number 1 on the draft. His name was Ben McDonald. Okay. And it was, I don't even remember, like mid-90s, I think. Sure. And he was all like, was just going to sign a big deal, or I don't know what the timing is on the draft for these players, but I know he was like he was the number 1 person taken, and he was supposed to pitch one of the games, and he was in the dugout. Yeah. Those dugouts were not, like, I'm sure they were OSHA at the time, but not updated OSHA. Oh my God. When you would stand up, like, there was the bench, there was a little platform. When you'd stand up on it, your head you hit the ceiling. Honk. Yeah. And especially the I-beams. Well, he was sitting under an I-beam, and he had to get up to go to an interview, and he stood up and knocked himself out. Oh no. Yeah. And it's like his media moment, and oh jeez, yeah, and the helplessness of everybody around, like, what are we supposed to do here? Yeah, there is always something. Yeah, there's always, and Hurrdat Sports does an amazing job of finding just little stories within the series too. Mm-hmm. Whether it's something special to a player or their family, or why a game is so particularly meaningful to them. So that I think it's also just one of the best parts of the whole event, is just finding those little nuggets that further endear both the fan base in Omaha as the community to the entirety of the MCWS. It was, I think, last year, or maybe 2 years ago, there was a fledgling bird that had found its way into it was the Auburn dugout. Oh, and I am an animal lover, and I was so stressed about this bird. What happened? So it had fallen from a nest, and I was watching it on TV. They were putting it on TV. The bird was confused. The team was looking at him. They felt like the bird was maybe good luck, because Auburn did win that game. But in a moment of panic and maybe less thinking about it in advance, I did march into that dugout, and I took that bird. You did? Oh no! I took that bird, and I said, "Off to a wildlife rehab you go." And it's the same lady that you pick up possums with. No, it's true. Listen, there's a specific type of lady. I don't know if she's just in the Midwest or if she's everywhere, but we will scoop up a wild animal, for better or for worse. I think a lot of them are here, but I think they're everywhere. But there are a lot of you guys around here. I don't know about the pick them up just in a possum with gloves. And you had gloves on, but I had gloves on. It wasn't just like I, picked up and swallowed it like a baby. I at least put it in a box before I took it to the rehab. But don't put it past me either. Yeah, I know. I'm not. So I still think about this bird, and I hope wherever he's at, he's doing well. We hope he found a new home somewhere outside of the stadium. Oh my gosh. And so just also in the area, some local favorites for people to keep in mind, along with favorite memories. The Blatt, of course. How did I not mention that to begin? A great patio is right there that you can grab some drinks and almost see inside the stadium. The Matt, Hook and Lime is right there. Also Capital District. Do you ever venture over that way too? Yeah. It's pretty cool. Yeah, it is cool. For like an all-encompassing there really is. Like within 4 or 5 blocks, there's so many amazing things to do, places to eat, grab a drink, whatever. Yeah. So then after the game, and there's hidden gems too. We talked about this a little bit with Dan, that Omaha really is the place that you can't judge a book by its cover. Happy Bar is down there. And of course, I'm giving up on my favorite dives. They're going to be slammed. Happy Bar is down there. It's one that you walk by and you're not sure what's going to be inside. It doesn't look bad by any means, but when you stack it up against to just the glittering appeal of what the Matt and Slow Down have going on, but you wander in there and you can still get a nice cold drink for next to nothing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love those places. Yeah. I don't know if it's necessarily considered a dive bar, but I love those places because they're Omaha. Yeah, and you're cheaper. Yeah. And a lot of times they're not as packed as the crazy places down closer to the stadium. Yeah. At some point we'll need to have like a whole dive bar conversation, because I got recommendations on those for the ones I'm willing to share. Oh man. Yeah. I need to find all the dive bars that have potluck parties. Oh, they did. Those happen all over the city. I'm shocked when I walk into a place and there's crock pots
And they're like, yeah, just help yourself to some.
No clue whose kitchen it came from.
Okay.
You know, they could be murdery. There could be poison. You have no idea.
And
we'll all dive in.
And honestly, Omaha never change.
Right. Seriously, I love it.
Never change. I love this
my
about
favorite.
you. And I wanted to mention too, we mentioned it before, but just there are so many great pockets of neighborhoods that you can find around the city as well. Some are walkable, like the Old Market, Capital District. Millwork is on the north side of Cumming Street, which has new stuff happening over there too. And some are a little bit further away, so they're either like a scooter or a Uber away, like Blackstone, Benson, Dundee. I'm sure I'm missing some. Exarban.
Yeah. Little Bohemia.
Little Bohemia is also wonderful too. There's all sorts of.
It's a little bit farther away, but like you said, it could be a long scooter ride or an Uber.
Yeah. So hopefully we've at least given you some names to Google, because they will have their own events happening there too. Blackstone is great for nightlife, for example. Benson is also a kind of a live music hub with a bunch of different venues down there. A little bit smaller shows you're going to see, but still great bars you can stumble into and restaurants.
Blackstone is a lot of fun. If you want to go to any bar and feel like you're a chaperone, go to Blackstone.
Blackstone's not for us.
Yeah, it's not for us.
Blackstone, we recognize Blackstone is for the younger visitors, and we hope they have a nice time while they're there.
Grace goes to Blackstone.
Yes, exactly. Grace's age, Grace Lateral.
Yes.
And so certainly, for younger listeners, 21 and over.
Yeah. For you 18-year-olds out there that want to sneak into a bar.
You can, no problem. If you were that would be the place to probably try it, because, it really is bustling there. There's Reno's karaoke is there. Also, Blackstone Social's there. Some easier bars like Sullivan's, where you can kind of saddle up to the bar if you want to.
Sullivan's.
Yeah. And Moolah, if you're looking for tacos, Moolah is, I think, one of our treasures in the city too. Excellent margaritas. So truly, any of those little pockets or neighborhoods are wonderful for visiting if you're trying to get to know Omaha a little bit better. And speaking of getting to know Omaha a little bit better, how about some fun facts about our fair city? You're going to know them all probably.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Do you know about the underground pedestrian tunnels near Midtown?
No. I knew of one on like 50th and Dodge that went under.
That's exactly the one I'm talking.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay, that's the one. That's the one I know.
Maybe I should have said tunnel.
Yeah.
It's a opportunity for, if you are, say you're heading from, if you're staying if you got an Airbnb in the Dundee area and you're trying to get over to across Dodge to Dundee near 50th and Underwood. Yeah, there is like an underground tunnel that you can take that has a history as well, that I'm sure Hurrdat one will elevate at some point.
I didn't know it had a history.
We love it. We love to talk about the history of our city's things here. And of course, it is the home of Warren Buffett. Happy retirement to Warren.
Right. And that's going by his house is probably something that people do if they know he's from here. It's pretty accessible. It's pretty normal.
I love to tell people, because I live in the Midtown area, but when I go to outside of Nebraska or outside of the country, and they say, give us a fun fact about where you live or where you're from. And I'll say, well, I live in the same neighborhood as Warren Buffett. And they'll say, you must be rich. And I say, very much I'm not. But it just goes to show, just like to your point, the accessibility of and the regularity of.
He just lives in a not very Warren Buffett-like neighborhood that you would think
one of his homes.
Yeah. Well, one of his homes.
Yeah. Maybe the original. How about some other celebrities from here? Fred Astaire. That's a legendary dancer. He was born in Omaha in 1899.
Did know that.
So you were born at the same time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, went to high school together. What are you laughing at, Grace?
Gabrielle Union, perhaps known for Bring It On, being Mary Jane, born in Omaha as well.
We were born in the same, I think like a month apart, in the same delivery unit.
Were you really?
Mm-hmm.
That's incredible. Yep. And she and her husband are couples goals. We love to watch that from afar. Sure. I don't know how often she comes home to visit. Come home to visit us, Gab.
She hasn't come home ever since Nebraska hasn't been that good. Like she'd be home for a lot of home games.
Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, at least they haven't shown her on TV.
Or if she's here now, she's laying low. Yeah, she's like, don't associate with that team. Yeah. Marlon Brando, you know him from The Godfather. He was born in Omaha in 1924. 311, alternative rock band. It's originated in Omaha. Amber.
Yep.
Color of your energy.
Yep.
You're like, if you say so. Terrence Bud Crawford. He's a world champion boxer, of course. Born and raised, based in Omaha. He's a huge point of local pride too, and rightfully so, because he's
and what he's done for the community. Is incredible.
Truly, and kind of inspired this interest in boxing too. Maybe it felt like something that was so inaccessible, especially in the middle of the country, right? Where you don't have like the big gyms or the big names until, of course, he came along and changed all that. So,
and when you asked, we were talking at the very beginning of this about what makes Omaha special and what makes the College World Series special. It's because Terrence Crawford is a perfect example of this. He's from Omaha. He didn't want to leave Omaha. He wears Omaha literally on his shorts. Like, he's so proud to be from the city. And I think if you are born and raised here or spend any significant amount of time here, you have that same kind of pride and you want to let everybody know that this is an awesome place and I'm proud of it.
Yeah. You turn into like an ambassador if you spend a little.
Right.
There, I know lots of people who, of course, left right after college or for college, which I know is a larger point of conversation for Omaha writ large. But for the folks that did stay here, took the opportunity to get to know the city and understand, like you said, what's so special. Yeah, you just want to let people know about it and share and spread that message too, even when you have a platform like Bud has. Malcolm X was born in Omaha in 1925. His family moved shortly after, but still his legacy is tied to the city's history. And then Johnny Carson mostly grew up in Norfolk and born in Corning, Iowa, but spent his early radio years in Omaha at WOW Radio.
Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
I love that story.
And he's also one that, maybe he moved around a little bit, but to know that somebody like Johnny could get his start here. Exactly. There's hope for us yet, Pat.
Well, I mean, I'm like, go that far. I'm like,
there's hope for us, okay, so some rapid fire questions. Where do you?
There was another famous person too that I knew. I thought it was on the list. Adam Devine.
Oh, how did I not say Adam Devine? Yes, endlessly funny,
hilarious dude. And I have a story, not a person. I mean, I've never met him.
Yeah,
but I used to read people that didn't know that I was on the radio here for a long time, for like 20 years.
Yeah,
and when he was 12 years old, and this, you can find the story on YouTube. He told it on, I think, Between Two Ferns and a couple of other, like Fallon. He told on Fallon that he was hit by a garbage truck or dump truck when he was 12 years old. He was playing with some friends, hanging out, and I don't know all the details of the story, but ran across the street, didn't see the truck, didn't see him, hit him, threw him 500 feet.
You're kidding.
And he broke pretty much everything. And he was in the hospital, like in a wheelchair for 6 months, and then just couldn't do anything. He had to stay home. He was in the hospital for a long time. Well, I didn't know this at the time, but he was a funny kid back then and could do an amazing Chris Farley impression. It was hilarious. He would call me all the time on the radio, and I would put him on the air doing different things because he was little Chris Farley and he was hysterical. So flash forward, whatever, X amount of years, and I saw him tell that story once. I'm like, holy cow, that was him. Because he told us when he called him, he's like, hey, I'm not going to be able to do anything for a while. I got hit by this truck. And we didn't
gave you
believe
a heads
him.
up. Yeah.
We didn't believe him.
You're like, sure, you did, kiddo.
You did get hit by a truck. That's a lie. But so I thought that was really cool. I haven't had a chance to meet him just to tell him.
Yeah. Oh, that's incredible.
A lot of content.
And also, I mean, what a Omaha story too, right? Where it is, of course, the city just passed the 1 million mark, which is incredible, but still is so kind of small and accessible in that way too, where, you happen to have this platform when you were, you and JT were at Sweet 98, that you recognized that this kid was funny and you said, let's put him on air.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was crazy.
That's wonderful. Well, and whatever he touches usually turns to gold too. So
seriously.
Starting with Pat and JT in the mornings.
Right.
So I don't know how I forgot him too. But you're exactly right. Definitely somebody that we take a lot of pride in claiming in Omaha. Okay, so rapid fire questions. Best hangover breakfast spot after your team loses, say.
Gosh, Vidlocks.
Where's
That's
that?
way out west.
Oh, okay.
156th and Center.
Okay.
That's my favorite. That's just because I live out west.
Yep.
So before, I would say, TBT, Leavenworth Cafe.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah. Or RIP.
RIP.
TBT, RIP.
Yeah.
I don't know. I haven't been. I live out west, so I'm not usually hungover downtown much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's smart.
Yeah. Yeah. If
that's called advanced planning.
If I just hung over downtown, that means I slept in like an alley or something. That's what that means.
Which, I mean, if your team had a really bad night, don't put it past you. More in the area. I like Early Bird. Early Bird's in Blackstone. There's a few of those in Omaha. I think that's a franchise too. Also, Lulabee's is down really close to the stadium.
I've heard about
that. And they have wonderful food. I also like Bailey's at 120th and Pacific, which also is a little bit further west. But truly, we love a brunch in Omaha just like everywhere else. So there are some great options for folks.
And some of you guys might be staying out west. Anyway, closer to 120th and Pacific.
Yeah. What do you think is the worst mistake that tourists make during the Cultural Series?
Ooh. That's a great question.
Yeah.
Worst mistake tourists make during the College World Series. I would say, even though we said you didn't have to earlier, is getting out and doing something in the city, not around the ballpark and the zoo.
That's a really good one. Yeah. I'd agree with that. Is that the games are great and don't miss the games, but give yourself a little extra time to see all the different kind of pockets of great things happening around the city, because there's kind of this misconception that the old market, for example, because it's the College World Series, it's slammed, it's inundated, you can't even get there if you wanted to. But business owners will tell you that there's actually plenty of space because there's that group misconception that keeps people from going and taking advantage of these experiences. So I completely agree. There's so much to see and do.
Well, you and Dana Hoppin did an episode talking about the food around the College World Series and stuff. Maybe take some of those on the night that your team doesn't play and go somewhere else in the city and have a great meal.
Right. And spend a little time there too. So for example, we talked to death about Yoshitomo, which is everyone in Omaha does. But just know that you're going to spend maybe a couple hours in Benson. Check the slowdown if there's a concert going on or reverb, or head over to Full House for karaoke if you don't mind embarrassing yourself. So there's just so many things to do within those, especially some of those spots that Dan mentioned, that you can expand on your evening and enjoy an entire Omaha night out. And so if I only have one day free from games, where should I go? Yeah, I think we covered it to say just you can find the zoo is a really great example.
It is.
Or just doing a little advanced Googling to see what's going on in an area.
I'd say if you have one free day and that's it, then you're leaving, I would definitely put the zoo at the top of the list.
Yeah, I'd have to agree. Because there's always different exhibits and programs that they have there. I think they do yoga in the aquarium sometimes. They'll also do their young adult evenings where there's food trucks and bars and all sorts. So they have awesome exhibits and animals to see, but they do so much more that you can really make an entire evening of your trip.
Agreed.
When you're in Omaha. Okay, well, thanks, Pat. No matter who you're cheering for, Omaha's always rooting for a good time. So thank you for lending your expertise to this important conversation. You can catch Pat on his many podcasts. How many do you have? 14, 15?
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it feels like it some days.
Pat and JT of True Omaha fame, guest contributing to all the Bravo celebrities that are on the Hurrdat network. Also great content for people to check out too. And remember to keep following Hurrdat 1 for all your Beyond the Ballpark content this summer and beyond.
Let's go get a hot dog.
I'll throw it at you.